my mom, a layperson in Watertown, called Dr. Cederholm and told him he needed to come to Watertown and start a college. I was a teenager standing next to my mom by the phone, thinking she was a crazy woman, but it certainly turned out differently.
Good morning, Maranatha Baptist Bible College.
When I arrived, Maranatha was in a survival mode, and Maranatha was underfunded and shrinking. But through it all, God preserved and blessed MBU to the praise of His glory.
47 years ago, I came to the Maranatha campus, and that first night for our meetings, Dr. Cederholm was the speaker, and he began with the Maranatha miracle. I sat there thinking, wow, this place is special.
I graduated from a public high school, and as far as I know, I was the only believer in my class. So it was really refreshing for me to come to Maranatha and then be surrounded by so many friends.
When I arrived, I asked at the front table if I had any roommates, and the gal just kind of snickered and said, yes. I went to the second floor where designated my room was, and when I opened the doors, I discovered I had 42 roommates. That meant every morning there were 42 alarm clocks that went off.
We lost a baseball coach, so I ended up coaching baseball because I was the only guy that had played baseball in the faculty.
One of the first things that really struck me was a real spirit of sacrifice that I saw across the board from the faculty and the staff. I remember I was struggling to write a Dev Psych paper, and I was taking the class from Dr. John Braugh, and he gave me 30 to 40 minutes of his time. And he was a vice president and incredibly busy, and I think I learned more from him giving his time than I did from the writing of the paper.
I had no clue what a Baptist was. So when I got to Maranatha, Dr. Weeks' class on Baptist polity and Baptist history have been instrumental in forming me to the person that I am today.
In Bible class one day, when the professor was explaining a lamb sacrifice, I remember that day we all walked out of class with tears in our eyes, and we all were praising God. And that is what Maranatha has always been about.
You know, Dr. Cederholm was involved in planting hundreds of local churches all across the United States. And he taught it to us in chapel. He taught it to us in Preacher Boys. He let us know that the way that God does his ministry, his method is for the local church, and God just really impacted me with that truth.
I see myself doing things that exactly Mrs. Cederholm did, and I say, wow, that sure rubbed off.
47 years later, when I come back here, I hadn't been on campus long as a faculty member and realized that there was a new sentiment, but I guess I would just call it a sentiment of excellence.
Just today, I was walking to my office, and I'm walking through Burkhart Hall, and there is precious Mrs. Marriott sitting on the ground painting some of the benches that she had put in there, and I thought, and that spirit of sacrifice still lives on.
And I answered it one morning, and there was a gentleman asking me who was the president at Maranatha. And I was able to tell him that just that day, or the day before, Dr. Marriott was chosen as the president. And this gentleman said, well, thank you. I am Dr. Marriott, and I am so glad to know that I really am the president and that it wasn't a dream. Good morning, Maranatha Baptist University.